Forgive me for letting you be born in North Korea. From the very first breath, children carried not only life, but the chains of a nation. Parents leaned close, whispering apologies into tiny ears, because in that land, the greatest crime of all was simply to be born there. This is a story more cinematic than any film, a story where a telegram became a death sentence, where parents prayed for their own deaths so their children might live. A story of 14 days in hell, and of a nation that chose humanity over fear. But to understand this story, we must first understand the man at its center. Hong Soon-jeong was born in 1938 in Sungjin, North Hamgyong Province. In North Korea, birth was destiny. Only those from loyal and reliable families could ever dream of representing the regime abroad. Hong's family background opened that door. He joined the Ministry of Foreign Trade, one of the regime's most important outward-facing institutions, and worked overseas in the Middle East, Africa, and later Pakistan. By January 1991, he was assigned to Thailand as the ministry's representative, effectively the head of mission in Bangkok. Normally, North Korean diplomats rotated every 3 years, but Hong remained nearly a decade. Later, he explained why. There had been someone powerful in Pyongyang who supported him. But when that patron became implicated in wrongdoing, Hong suspected that connection pulled him down too. That was why the recall order eventually came. That was why his family was suddenly in danger. February 1999. Bangkok. Inside the North Korean embassy, Kim Jong-il's birthday had just ended. Families visited amusement parks. Children laughed. Parents finally exhaled. And then, the phone call. Urgent telegram. Report back immediately. The message was cold, bureaucratic, merciless. Counselor Hong Soon-jeong, his son, and for technicians will return to Pyongyang on February 19th by Goryeo. All financial documents must be surrendered. On the surface, it looked like a routine transfer, but Hong knew better. He had lived long enough inside the system to understand its language. In North Korea, no one was ever safe. Today's loyalty could become tomorrow's suspicion. A man could be erased not for what he did, but for who he knew. He thought of the system he had served, how the regime practiced guilt by association, how entire families could be punished for the act of one, how people were sometimes recalled not for their own mistakes, but to lure or punish someone else, how men and women vanished without reason, victims of sudden purges. And so, when he read the telegram, he knew this was not a transfer. It was a death sentence in coded form. That night, his family wept. 2 sons, the eldest left behind in Pyongyang, the youngest at his side in Thailand. Hong whispered the words that broke him. The eldest, we must bury him in our hearts. The younger, we must save him. So he fled. Hong, his wife, and his younger son escaped into the Thai night. They moved from one hiding place to another, helped by acquaintances. He begged foreign embassies for asylum. Please, take us in. Please, save my son. But every door closed. You are wanted for crimes. We cannot accept you, because Pyongyang had already struck. Almost immediately after his escape, North Korea spread the accusation that Hong had embezzled $80 million. It was a calculated lie, designed to cut him off from protection. If he was a thief, no nation would shelter him. And the smear worked. Country after country turned him away. His only hope was the United Nations. The UNHCR in Bangkok accepted his petition. It was a fragile thread of hope, but it was also exposure. Once he turned to the UN, his name and location were recorded. North Korea now knew where he was. They acted swiftly. North Korean agents reached out not only to officials, but to the very guards tasked with protecting Hong. They offered envelopes of cash, bribes, and shockingly, some accepted. For as little as $500, guards betrayed their duty. For $500, a family's safety was sold. On the chosen night, those guards stepped away, and the embassy's men stormed in. Doors splintered. Hong, his wife, and his son were seized and dragged back to the embassy. Inside, the transformation was brutal. The same walls where Hong had once worked became a prison. Portraits of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il ripped from the walls. Traitors cannot share a room with the leaders. Food was withheld, water denied, and for his son barely 18 the cruelest punishment, wooden planks strapped to his legs, bound tight to cripple, to destroy any chance of escape. His cries echoed in the corridors, each scream another dagger in his parents' hearts. 2 cars waited. To the family, this looked like transport to the airport. Hong had already decided, if they reached the terminal, he would risk everything. He would throw himself into the open, shout to the Thai police, force the world to see what was happening even if it cost him his life. But soon he realized the truth. The cars did not turn toward the airport, they passed it, heading instead for the Laotian border. In that moment, hope collapsed. The chance to alert the police was gone. In its place came only despair. Inside the van, the air was heavy. Hong and his wife sat close, their hands clasped so tightly their knuckles turned white. They prayed not to one God, but to every God they had ever heard of, to the heavens, to the earth, to any spirit that might listen. They begged, "Let us die here. Let this fin overturn. Let us be crushed. Let us bleed. If only it means our children will suffer less. If only it means their punishment will be lighter." And in their anguish, another cry rose. What sin is it to be a child? What crime have they committed? Is it guilt enough to be born in North Korea? Is it a crime to be born as our children? Tears blurred their vision as the road stretched on, and then fate intervened. A tire burst, the van rolled, metal screamed, glass shattered, bodies flung like rag dolls. Amid the chaos, Hong dragged his bleeding wife toward an ambulance. "Hospital, hospital," he shouted. The siren wailed. By miracle, they had slipped from their captors, but cruelty remained. Their son, in another car, had no passport, the papers lost in the wreck. He was dragged back to the embassy. Parents to the hospital, son to the prison. At the hospital, Thai doctors stitched wounds. Police listened. They understood. This was no accident, but abduction. But diplomatic immunity sealed the gates. The boy was still inside. And so began 14 days of torment. Every day, Hong wrote letters to the Thai Prime Minister. His hands shook, the ink smeared, his eyes blurred with tears. But he forced the words, "Please, return my son, he has done nothing, he is only a boy." But even as he wrote, despair consumed him. Twice, he tried to end his life inside the hospital, not out of weakness, but out of a desperate calculation. If he and his wife died, perhaps the punishment on their sons would be lighter. If the parents paid with their lives, maybe the children would be spared the worst. That was the only hope left in his mind. Each attempt failed. Others stopped him, pulled him back, but the intent was clear. His love for his sons was so absolute. He was willing to sacrifice even his life in exchange for their survival. The press erupted. Headlines screamed. Citizens demanded justice. How can a land of compassion allow this cruelty within its borders? The Prime Minister convened councils. Advisors warned of fallout with Pyongyang. But the roar of the people and the desperate letters of a father tipped the balance. Thai officials summoned the North Korean agents. They lined them up before Hong. "Tell us who kidnapped you." Hong looked into the eyes of his tormentors. He saw the men who shackled his son, starved his wife, destroyed his life. His lips trembled, and then he said, "I do not remember. It was not weakness, it was mercy." If he named them, vengeance could strike relatives still trapped in Pyongyang. His silence was his shield. Thailand understood, and their fury only grew. This is not only about one family. This is about sovereignty, about law, about the audacity to commit crime on Thai soil. Thailand will not allow it. And then came the ultimatum. Return the boy or we will shut down your consulate in Bangkok. We will strip your flag, your ground, your voice here. It was the strongest measure short of war. Thailand had roared. 14 days later, the gates opened. The boy emerged, pale, thin, eyes hollow, legs scarred from planks. His mother collapsed onto him. "We thought we had to die so you could live. But you are here, you are here." His father placed a trembling hand on his son's shoulder. Lips quivering, words lost. Time itself seemed to breathe again. Justice did not stop there. Thai investigators uncovered the truth. The guards who had accepted bribes were found, arrested, and punished. The world learned they had betrayed a family's life for just $500. $500 for a human life. Pyongyang still shouted its lie. Hong embezzled $80 million, but the UNHCR saw through the smear. They completed their investigation and granted Hong and his family refugee status. With that seal, the world could no longer turn away. Through third countries, the family finally reached South Korea. Hong wrote everything: the telegram, the smear, the betrayals, the overturned bus, the endless nights of prayer. His memoir was titled One Chance in 10,000. In its pages, he explained, "We lived so that our son could live. We lived so that we could tell the world. Thailand remembered." Every agent involved in the plot was expelled, every betrayal punished, and the names of those who sold a family's life for $500 would forever remain in disgrace. And Hong left one last line: "A single telegram tore us apart, but a parent's love stitched us back together."